Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. So I have a great video today. I've got another awesome clearance plant haul. Maybe not quite as great as my last one, but I'm still super stoked about it. So for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Soleil and I garden in mid-Michigan in Zone 5B. And I really enjoy having a perennial garden along with all sorts of woody ornamentals. And I hope you would like to join me for the journey. If you would, please subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up on this video, and even hit that notification bell to get notified anytime a new video comes out. Alright, well let's get started and take a look at all these glorious clearance plants that I got. So I have a whole bunch of clearance plants that I got today, and I'm super excited to show them to you, and I know it's a lot of plants. So if you like one, don't worry too much about taking down all of the information, because at the end of the video, we'll put pictures of each plant along with a little bit about each one, the tags actually. And in addition to that, I will put in order of the plants that I show you today, I will put links to each one so that you can see them as well from where they came from, like Proven Winners or Monrovia, whoever the nursery was that created them. Okay. So, with clearance plants, it's an absolute bargain, but only if you know what you're looking for. So what I don't want is for you all to say, oh my gosh, I gotta go out there and get all of the clearance plants on the Rex because they're such a great deal. Some of them are actually a very bad deal. So here's how I know if something's a good deal or not. I take a look at a couple of things. I look at the foliage. The foliage needs to be nice and clean. It may have some dry spots on it. If I can tell that that's clearly from overwatering or underwatering, then I'm okay with that. If it has spots on it, I want to make sure that it doesn't look like it's some type of fungus or disease that might catch to some of my other plants. If it is, and I think it's easily treatable for really cheap with something that I actually have on hand at home, then I might still bring it home, keep it separate from the rest of my plants, treat it, and then bring it into the garden. The other thing I look for with clearance plants is those plants that obviously just suffer from being a bit root bound in their pots. And so it's easy to tell that. You can simply slip a plant out of its can, take a look at the roots, see if they're really wound around. If they are, then you generally can tell that some of the problems with the plants are due to the fact that it's just root bound. It needs to come out, tear off some of that extra root material and get it in the ground so that it has room to spread out. So that's some of the things that I look for. I also will make sure that there aren't a whole bunch of bugs on them. Sometimes they'll come with aphids, or you'll see a slug or a snail in one of the containers. It's quite shocking sometimes what you'll find in things. So just make sure that you're checking for those things when you're at a nursery, and you don't just grab any clearance plant because they really can just die on you, and it's not such a good deal if they take you a ton of work and then die in the end. Alright, so that said, I definitely have quite a few I'd like to share with you today. I have Heuchera. If you follow me, you know that I already have quite a few Heuchera in my garden, as well as hostas, and they go really well together. They do quite well, sometimes in sun or in part shade, or even sometimes in full shade, depending on how full it is. Like dappled sun is good. This one looks quite excellent to me. The foliage look really good. You can see this piece of foliage right here has some crispy leaves, but it's not on every leaf, and I think it's okay. I also checked to look around the base, and it's got lots of nice new growth on it. So I got two of these, and this one actually, let me see, this one doesn't have a tag on it. I think they're called lava lamp. Yep, lava lamp coral bells. So this one is really good in partial sun or shade, and it's a perennial, and it's hardy from zones 4 probably to zone 9. It doesn't say the heat zone on it, but typically that's about what Heucheras will do. It tends to like morning sun better than late afternoon sun. They might get droopy in a late afternoon sun, but otherwise they're generally pretty easy care and can at times be deer resistant. So this one's by Monrovia, and again it's the lava lamp coral bells. And some people wonder if coral bells and Heuchera are the same thing, and yes, in general they are pretty much the same thing. And on this, I think you can tell more so with the new foliage, the color of the plant. And it's a little bit more fiery and looks a little bit more like a lava lamp than the foliage that is well grown. And that may be because it was in more shade than necessary. These were really piled up in stacks and shelves. So the next Heuchera that I got is one that I already have, but I really like it, so I'm happy to have more because sometimes these take a while to grow on and be able to divide and propagate. So this is Georgia Peach Coral Bells, and I think I have 3 or 4 of these already. This one's also by Monrovia. All of these again are hardy down to zone 4, and this one likes, let's see here, semi-moist soil, so that's important to remember as well. They don't like to be super dry, but they will sometimes tolerate drier soils the more shade that they have. So the more sun you give them, the more water you're going to want to give them, or their leaves will start to become a bit crispy. So I love that one. One other Heuchera that I got, and this one, because of the part of the season that it's in, it's actually hard to tell how glorious this really will be. So I'm going to show you the tag really quick, and again, they'll be at the end of the video. But you can see on that tag that what happens here, it's called Delta Dawn. And what happens with this Heuchera is that as it has new growth, it really has this glorious bright foliage on it with the lime edging around it. So it's quite colorful. And again, this one is hardy down to zone 4, and it likes semi-moist soil as well. Same thing, most Heucheras have the same type of care. Some of them do prefer a little bit more sun than others, and it's just kind of dependent also on the temperature in your region. Like if you are in zone 8, you probably cannot have the Heuchera in as much sun as I can here in zone 5. All right, next plant, Coleus. Check this out. So these are super tall. These are the lime thyme. Oops, I got a little daddy long legs climbing around on here. These are the lime thyme Coleus from Proven Winners. They're super huge. I'm probably going to cut the whole top off, maybe stick some of those in soil and propagate so I have more of them. But they're actually absolutely gorgeous. This is a really excellent filler for beds where you need some type of large leaf. And they're good in both sun and shade, so they're really versatile. And so for the deal that I got on these, I thought it was worthwhile. You can see how the roots are sticking out the bottom of this, so it's very clear to me that this plant is likely root bound. But if you're not sure, you can always pull them out, and you start to see that it's circling and coming out the bottom, and that's when you know. So this one's not horribly root bound, it's just starting to get that way, and it's quite healthy. So I got 2 of most of these plants, which I love because then you have a pair and it's not just one plant sitting there all by its lonesome. Plants typically look better when they're grouped together. Okay, the next 2 that I got is a Salvia. And I love Salvia. You know, I have lots of different kinds of Salvia around my garden. And I was excited about these because I just got 1 of these. And now I have 2 more, so I can do a grouping of 3. So I'm going to plant these 2 next to the other one. So I won't have to wait for that one to grow on and be able to divide it next year. I will already have multiples. And this is by Monrovia, and it is the Blue Marvel. So very nice blooms on this plant. It's a blue-purple, and they become very spiky if you're familiar with Salvia. And this one really just looks like it needs some space to grow. It needs to get its roots down into the soil, and then it's got lots of new growth on it, which is another good indicator that the plant is healthy. And I have a feeling it will even put out some new blooms for me this year, so extra bonus. All right, the next two plants that I got are Dianthus. This is another plant that you know I use a lot around the yard. It has excellent blue colored foliage, and this is a magenta pink flower, and it's called Paint the Town Magenta. These are quite popular, and I'm excited about getting these because it's a different kind than I already have, but I also think it will mix in really well with the ones that I do have, and I have some that are dying out. So Dianthus, while it is a perennial, it is a short-lived perennial because it can become woody over time, and so you do eventually have to replace them. They do last longer if you continue to divide them over time so that they put on fresh roots and fresh new foliage, but it is pretty inevitable that every plant has a lifespan, and Dianthus can be short-lived. So I'm excited about these. I think these are going to go in one of my front beds. All right, then something else that I was excited about was some sedum that I got. And these are very leggy. I probably will actually cut these back. This one right here is the Sunsparkler Firecracker. I believe that's what it's called. Sunsparkler Firecracker, yes. It's a sedum, and these are really easy to propagate. Pretty much any sedum is. They are a succulent, and so if you pop off a top or a leaf or any piece of it, you're likely to be able to throw it on the ground, and it may just even grow like that. So I'm definitely glad to have these, because even though I propagated some of these last year, I would like more, and it does take time to propagate them. I might propagate the cuttings of this when I chop it back, just to make some additional ones and pop them in around the yard. So these do best in full sun, and they're quite heat tolerant and very drought tolerant as well. They don't like too much water, and my guess is that these did get too much water and not enough sun, and so that's why they're flopping. Sedums tend to stay much more dense when they're properly watered and they have good exposure to sunlight. They also color up even better, so the color will become more brilliant with the more sun that they get. Okay, this one, oh, I don't have the tag with me. Okay, you guys, I have the tag, but it's not on the plant pot anymore. This is also a Sunsparkler as well, but it's a different color. I cannot recall. I think it's called Dazzler, and this one's gorgeous. I just love the blue, green, purple colors that are on this, and again, I also have a few of these, so I'm excited to have another one of this. It is also similar in hardiness to the other one. Let me see what that is. Down to zone 4. So these should be hardy down to zone 4. You do need to be careful with some sedums. Make sure that when you buy them that you're looking to make sure that they say perennial or annual based on what your needs are, because there are sedums that are annuals. All right, another awesome sedum that I got is this one here. This one I believe is called the Lime Sparkler, but again, I don't have the tag with me, you guys. I do have it, and I'm going to put it at the end of the video. So this one is very similar though. These are all part of the same series by Monrovia, and this one just stays a little bit shorter and more compact, which you can actually tell by the growth. Even though it's a bit leggy, the legginess is not quite as bad as the other ones. So just beautiful colors. And finally, my last sedum. These are really cool looking. These are actually a Stonecrop. And again, this is a succulent. It grows very low to the ground, but it also is nice at draping over like rocks or a border or a container. And so I'm thinking about putting this one out in one of my front sun beds, but we'll see what I decide. Anyways, this is Angelina Stonecrop, and it will bloom. All of these sedums and Stonecrop will bloom. They have really pretty blooms. This is the only one that I don't know what color it will be. The others are much more of a pink. But it doesn't say on this tag what color the blooms will be, and there's not a picture. So So this one is hardy down to zone 3, so it's extremely hardy. I am going to watch this one based on where I plant it, because these stone crops that grow low to the ground have a tendency to break off, and they can become fairly aggressive. And so I'm just going to keep an eye on it after I plant it to see how it is. If it's easy to pull out, that's no big deal, but I do really like the color. So I'm excited to get that one in the ground too. Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video today, saw some plants that you might like, or even got some ideas about others in these same families or cultivars that you might enjoy adding to your garden. Thanks so much for watching today, and we'll see you next time. Bye!